Hi everyone! Today I'm going to show you guys how to do an easy holiday bracelet, or really you could do it for any occasion. Excuse me, frog in my throat. It's a bracelet that I enjoy making, and I've made it a few times. A lot of different variations on it. I'm going to be using the fishing line, which is like the strong plastic cord that I use for beading. My daughter has actually done this with a just like the stretchy cord. I haven't done it that way, but it's actually pretty cool because it looks like, you know, it'd be a regular bracelet that you would just have to wrap around and clasp, but it's actually stretchy. So she puts a clasp on it, but you really don't even have to use the clasp. You can just kind of stretch it and put it on, which is kind of neat. But I'm going to be using the fishing line today, which is just a hard plastic wire. And I've got just two colors of beads here. You can do with so many different types of beads. I'm just using these for the holidays. I'm going to be using a magnetic clasp. I love these. Super cool. These have little claw clasp on them, just to kind of, if you're changing your jewelry and you want to make it into one of these, so you can just add these on there. But I won't be using these, so I'm going to end up taking these off, which I'll do right now. So I'm just going to make it so that it is just the magnetic one, and I'm not changing it out or anything like that. So we'll just take it off. It's funny with the magnets, you kind of have to struggle a little bit. But yeah, I like them because they're strong, and they you know, they hold your jewelry safely without it just kind of popping off your wrist. But of course you have to be careful of the quality, you know, that you get. Definitely check them before you use them to make your jewelry, because you wouldn't want to have someone lose their piece. Okay. So what I'm going to do to begin is thread one side of my fishing line through and find the center. So I'm going to be finding the center of this fishing line. Like so. So I'm holding on to one end with the ends even, and I've pulled this all the way down to the end. And next I'm going to be putting on a crimp bead. So I'm going to thread a crimp bead on there, slightly uneven. Let me pull that a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to be threading on a crimp bead. One of these little tiny guys right here. And you can use a larger size if you want. This size does work for this, and I don't like to have gigantic you know, crimp beads on there, because really it's just to kind of secure it. It's not to be fancy or anything like that, but you could use a bigger one if you have a bigger one as well. And then I'm just going to thread it all the way down until we get to this point here. I'm going to push it up and squeeze it, which you just use any kind of flat plier. Squeeze it on. If you want to get fancy, you can put a crimp cover on there. I do have some of those, but I won't be using one today. Got a little bit knot in my cord. Take that out. Okay. And now I'm going to start the design. So I know this can be a little bit confusing. I'm holding one side in each hand. So let's find the ends. I'm going to lay this here. Until you get going, it does kind of flop around, which can be pretty irritating. But I promise it will get better. So we're going to start by putting one red bead, so we're going to cross them. Okay, so putting one on one side and then coming through and bringing the other one from the other direction. Okay, and then grabbing those two ends, so it'll look something like this before you pull it. Okay, and then you're going to pull it. And just be careful, because it does, like I said, until you get going good, it does kind of flop around. And you see how here it's kind of uneven, you just gotta adjust it. So basically I'm gonna let up tension on one side, add some tension on the other side, and just make sure that we are centered. Okay, and now we're centered. Sorry for the camera shaking. Okay, and next we're just going to put one on each side. So one on one end and one on the other end. So there's really only two steps. First you cross them, and the next row you just put one on each end and let them slide down. Okay, and it'll look jumbled at first until you get going, and that's okay. Just maintain your tension, you know, make sure that they are staying in the right spots. You should have something like this. Okay, so now it's time to crisscross again. As I said, there's only two steps. So this time I'm going to insert a green aventurine, and I'm going to cross them. So I have it on one side, and I'm going to come in from the other direction with the other part of the other side of the line. I've got this crisscross again, and I'm going to pull down. Okay, and just be patient with the cord as it goes down. Just maintain, you know, your design. Okay, and this is where we are now. So as you get more comfortable, you don't have to pull down each time. You could do a few, and then you can, you know, pull down, get them into place. So I'm going to crisscross again. I'm going back to using the red now. Oh, sorry, I'm not going to crisscross. I'm going to put one on each side. That's the next step. And it'll be time to just pull down, but I'm going to do two steps together this time. So I'm going to go ahead and crisscross. Like so. Okay. And now I'm going to pull down, holding on to the ends and kind of moving my way down. Pulling as I go, and you can use your thumb and forefinger to kind of fix the tension on it. But you see, we did two steps and one that time goes a little quicker, and this is where we're at. So I will show you 2 more steps together, and then I'll continue and come back and just kind of show you what it looks like kind of toward the end. It probably won't be a full bracelet, but I just want to show you how to kind of get it going and finish it up. So I'll do 2 more. So our last step was to crisscross. So our next step is 1 on each side. I'm going to let those go. And then let me see, I'm thinking about my pattern. Okay, so it'll be time for a green this time. And then I'm going to crisscross on my green. So the way that you put your beads on will kind of give you the pattern of your bracelet. So I'm going to pull these 2 down together now. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Just make sure as you go, you kind of fix the tension in the different areas of the bracelet, and then just continue from there. So I'm going to go off camera and do a bit more, and then I'll come back and show you how we're going to finish it. Hi, so I'm back, and I'm at the point where I'm going to finish up this little mini bracelet. I just wanted to kind of show you guys. So it's not a full-length bracelet, but I've got 2 that I put on here, and I'm ending on a point, which means I would crisscross, which is what I have here. So I'm going to pull down and crisscross. So that's my last step. So I'm ending how I started, and it just gives you a kind of nice end to the bracelet. And now we are going to bring it around and connect it to our ring. So it's a little different because you're ending, here you have 2, where before we were just kind of putting 1 through and then just crimping it to keep it in place. But now we've got 2 here. So I'm going to thread the crimp bead on and then take it through the jump ring. So I'm getting my ends together. Got my little crimp bead. And I'm going to put both ends through the crimp bead. Ooh, if it cooperates, keeps turning on me. This one is like particularly tiny, but you could definitely use bigger ones. Slide it down. Okay. And then our other loop is over here. Since this is magnetic, they're already stuck together. So I'm going to come around and stick my 2 ends through this other jump ring. So these are, so this is the clasp, magnetic clasp, and each half has a jump ring connected to it. So I'm going to come through here on this side of this jump ring. And like I said, this is not a full-size bracelet. I was just showing you guys the process. And this part can be a little bit tricky, so I'm going to try to make sure I show it clearly. Jump ring is trying to get away from me here. I mean my crimp bead. So we have our crimp bead on. We've passed through the jump ring, and we're going to take these ends, our fishing line ends, and pass them back through this jump ring again. Okay, and that's what's going to secure it. So I'm going to work on threading these through. Make sure you guys saw that well enough. Okay, so now I've passed through crimp bead, through the jump ring, and now, oops, sorry. Now I'm going to pass back through this crimp bead again. Okay. And yes, with my tiny crimp bead, it is going to be a snug fit, but I think it is doable. Here we go. Okay, so now I've come back through the crimp bead. This is what we have before we kind of pull it tighter. And we are going to slide it down closer to the end of our work here, end of our bracelet. And then we're just going to pull. We're going to pull the other side and just kind of position it so that the little magnet came undone there. So we're going to keep sliding it down and keep pulling until it gets snugger on the jump ring. This is where we are right now. I'm kind of working it down. Okay. I'm going to pull here. So like I said, this is a little tougher because I've got a tiny crimp bead. I ordered some more crimp beads, but they're not in yet. So I've got these little tiny ones to work with right now. Okay, so we keep sliding it down. We can use the pliers to help us. And then now we've got that, I think it's probably as close as we're going to get it. Maybe I can give it a final tug. On both sides to make sure it's even. Okay, so I like to reinforce the bracelet. So I'm going to come back through with these leftover fishing line ends and go down the length of the bracelet. It also helps with the structure of it. So I'm going to take one end and I'm going to just thread down the side, the outside beads. Okay, all the way through. So you can see I'm passing through the outside beads here. You might need a tool to kind of help you get through all the holes. Usually the fishing line is pretty strong and I can kind of just continue just holding it. But if you do kind of get a kink in it, then you might need some help with the with one of your tools. So it's just passing through this outside here, which is just going to reinforce the structure of the bracelet. So I always cut plenty of fishing line to make sure that I've got enough to also reinforce. So I pulled it through. You can see it's coming through the crimp bead and I'm passing through the outer edge. Okay, I would say I've got a pretty weak jump ring on the end here because that's just falling off. That's kind of making me crazy right now. So I will be changing out that jump ring, but I'm not going to worry about that just now. So we're going to keep passing through until we get all the way to the other end. Okay. Usually I have an easier time passing this through, but this time it's really going to make me work here. Okay, so make sure you keep your tension. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to go all the way down to the end. And I'm also going to do the same thing with this side and pass it down to the end, and I'll come back. Hi, so I'm back. I have taken our ends from here and reinforced it, taken a line all the way through on one side and come out the other end. And I've done the same thing on the other side, all the way around. And I have come out on the end here. So what I've done now is just take it from here, and I've gone across and I've looped it over here. So I'm just going to pull through like that. And you want to make sure the tension is good. So as you can see, it's reinforced now. Has a nice structure to it. You don't have to do that. I know that step is a little bit more advanced, but I mean, the fishing line will be strong regardless. You don't have to reinforce it. I just like the way that it helps with keeping the structure and the shape of the bracelet. So I tend to do that. So we've got our two ends on this side here, which we're just simply going to clip, because I do not think I can come all the way around with this. This bead, I don't think I'm going to be able to come through on this side again, but I can try just to see if I can crisscross this other side as well. But I think I've maxed out the space in this bead, you know, coming in and out in and out with the fishing line. So yeah, that's not going to go through there. So we can just end it here. And be careful, of course, which ones you clip. You don't want to clip one of the ones, obviously, that you so I'm clipping the first one, and then I'm going to clip this one here. Okay, so there we have it. We have our bracelet. This one here is just a mini one, of course, because I was just showing the process. Fix that a little bit, so it's a tiny little bracelet, but just to show you how it comes out. The ends are very clean. As you can see, the ends are very clean. Good structure to the bracelet. I used the magnetic clasp this time. I did switch out that jump ring that kept coming open. It looks like the jump rings that came attached to the magnetic clasp weren't very strong, so I switched out the jump ring to keep it from repeatedly coming open and sliding out. And that is our finished product. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're able to make some nice bracelets in the future with this design. And I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye. Oh yes, and here's the crystal version.